Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Eating Disorder Hope Google Hangouts. We're so glad that you can join us tonight for our special discussion with the founders of Project Heal, which is an absolutely wonderful, amazing nonprofit organization. And I have with me tonight Liana and Kristina, who, like I said, are the founders of Project Heal. So welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And, we've seen so much about the work that you guys have been doing, and Project Heal seems to really be taking off. We know you just had your big gala in New York, and we love seeing the pictures from that. Before we get started just talking about your organization, can you maybe just tell us a little bit about yourselves and maybe some of the work that you're currently doing at this point?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Kristina. I am one of the co-founders of Project Heal with Liana, and let's see. In addition to Project Heal, so I currently technically serve as the development director of Project Heal, and so that's a part-time, but really more than that job because I love it and it's our baby.
Yeah.
And then, so I do a lot of fun things like planning the galas and meeting with donors to make sure that we have enough money to provide, all the treatment that we want to provide, and also trying to solicit, corporate sponsorships and grant applications and kind of all that fun stuff. And then in my spare time, my other part-time job is in eating disorder research at Stanford. I work with one of our clinical advisory board members, actually, Neville Golden, who's the director of adolescent medicine at Stanford. And we're working on a big study on refeeding syndrome in anorexia. So that's a fun, nice change, and ultimately hope to go on to get a PhD in clinical psych and treat people with eating disorders. So
Wow, that is incredible.
thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, Kristina. And how about you, Liana?
For Project Heal, I am in charge of co-founder, but I also do all the social media and communications. So I run all Facebook, Instagram, and have a really good team that are really trying to get the message that full recovery is possible and using social media to get that message across. Aside from Project Heal, I am a fifth grade NEST teacher in New York City, so I work with children with autism. And I also am currently in grad school. So um, it's a lot, and just I love everything that I do though, so I wouldn't change it for the world.
That is so amazing. You guys are just incredible, and I just have loved seeing what you're doing with Project Heal. And for our viewers who maybe don't really know about Project Heal, can you tell us a little bit about your organization and what inspired you to begin this?
Sure. So Kristina and I actually met in treatment when we were a lot younger, and we reconnected probably a year after treatment and started this recovery group. And it was really just we went out for dinners and really supported each other, and it quickly became smaller and smaller the amount of people who were going out for dinners, and then we were like, well, let's go out for dessert, and really wanted recovery. We wanted to challenge each other, and our friendship just became really strong. And I would like to just add in that though, like we are the exception probably rather than the rule when it comes to this, because even when we started this support group, our treatment providers were very like, you need to be very careful because with eating disorders it can be kind of like a competitive illness, and with Kristina it was totally different. I mean, I would not be where I am today without her love and support and her motivation, and our bond was just, it really was different, and we really did help each other recover. And once we became more grounded and began to see things more clearer, we saw all the injustices and all the flaws in the system. One being the lack of coverage by insurance. We witnessed it ourselves, and then we saw people we were in treatment with and heard stories about people who wanted to get better. And both Kristina and I will tell you, we went to treatment, but we weren't really ready to recover, and we were able to afford it, or our insurance could cover most of it and what couldn't, our parents could afford, but people were much more motivated than us, and they couldn't get the access to treatment that they needed. So with that in mind, as well as we had really just, we lacked hope and this idea that recovery was even possible. There was really never this role model be like, hey guys, like recovery is awesome and you can get there. I mean, yeah, maybe there were some books and things like that, but there was never this and not like this picture, because everyone's recovery looks different, but like people to aspire to. And like for me at least, like in the eating disorder, that was my identity, and I didn't want my just Liana the anorexic to become from like recovery and Liana the recovered anorexic. Like I think what's so great about Project Heal, which we'll finally get into, is that, like Kristina and I are Project Heal, but there's also so many other parts to us. Like, yeah, we recovered, but we're also pursuing our dreams and doing so much more than recovery. With those things in mind, we were also told when we were in treatment, like, when you recover, you have to channel, and I mean, eating disorder took over our life, and we needed something to replace with, and we channeled all that type A personality and perfectionism and OCD and into starting a nonprofit when we were in 10th and 11th grade in high school. So finally, Project Heal is a nonprofit organization that provides treatment grants for people who cannot afford treatment. We promote healthy body image and self-esteem and show people that recovery is possible. And we do this, and we've sent 52 applicants to treatment.
Wow.
We have 40 chapters across the United States and internationally as well.
That is so incredible, and I'm just so inspired by your stories and how you took something that's so difficult to go through. You know, I think an eating disorder is probably one of the most challenging mental illnesses to have and to overcome, and to see what you've made out of your recovery is just very beautiful. So thank you so much for sharing that, and we just love what you guys are doing. I mean, I think the finances are probably one of the biggest obstacles that people face. And I don't know if you guys have seen any other obstacles in your work in Project Heal. I mean, do you find that if people have the finances and the funds, that's a big piece of the puzzle, or what are some other things that you guys see that make it challenging for someone to get into treatment?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think just to touch on the finances even more, and just it's staggering when you learn about this. Like us at 15 learning about this and just being like, this is a horrible injustice. 30 million Americans suffer from an eating disorder, and 90% of them don't get treatment. Like, that is just absolutely ridiculous. And these mental illnesses have the highest mortality rate of all mental illnesses. And then you put with that the fact that with proper treatment, they're 100% treatable and full recovery is possible. It's staggering, and it doesn't make sense. And it's ridiculous that we are the largest organization in the country that's actually providing treatment grants to people who can't afford it. We get 600 applicants per year from people who are so motivated to get better. And Liana touched on this and said, look, when we went to treatment at 13 years old, I didn't want to get better at all, nor did Liana. We were lucky in that our parents kind of forced us. We had good insurance, et cetera, et cetera. But really, like, lack of, or ambivalence rather, about recovery is part of the disorder. And so it's amazing that we have, these 600 applicants per year who our application is 100, it's motivation based, and so they're coming and they're saying, I have no ambivalence about recovery. I want this so bad. Just like give me the resources because I don't have it. And you can't come up with $30,000 per month. That's a huge amount of money that makes treatment inaccessible. Some other issues that are important and that go with it is that there's a lot of lack of access to treatment. So Liana and I were lucky in that we we're from New York, and then now I'm out in California, and I did college in Boston, and these are all areas that you have, people who do specialize in eating disorders who know what they're doing. But there are so many areas of the country where people really don't even, medical doctors don't know what an eating disorder is. You can't
Mm.
find many people apply to us from the middle of the country and say the nearest eating disorder specialist is 200 miles away from my house, right? So there's just not a lot of people who actually treat these disorders. And then I think
Mm-hmm.
there still is a lot of stigma around it that kind of goes into, just like a lack of awareness that you have an eating disorder, right?
Right.
I mean, I talked to one of our applicants who we just funded very recently, a young African American woman who had been struggling for 10 years, and I kind of asked her why, um, have you sought treatment before? Have you tried whatnot? And she was like, I tried to, but honestly, I went and told my family about it, and they said, Black girls don't get eating disorders. This is not a thing. Suck it up. Get on with it. And I think that
Wow.
is the cultural conception in many communities, and
Right.
not just minority communities, but it's certainly prevalent there with males, right? Like men don't get eating disorders. It's
Mm-hmm.
a conception that we know isn't true, and I think that can really prevent people from seeking help. A big one too is that people think that a lot of people think that if you're not severely emaciated, that you
Mm-hmm.
don't have an eating disorder. And we know that that is not the case at all. If you have bulimia and binge eating disorder, make up a much larger percentage of the population of people with eating disorders than anorexia. And even those with anorexia, there, many of them are not, technically quote unquote underweight. You wouldn't know
Right.
somebody. So I think there are a number of factors that go into this that make, treatment really, really hard to access.
Sure. And I'm really glad that you touched on those points. And I think that it's amazing that not only are you funding treatment, but you're helping raise awareness about a lot of issues that are really preventing people from getting the help that they need. So that's amazing. Can you guys talk a little bit about the process for applying for a grant or a fund, if someone's interested in getting funding for treatment, how does that work?
Well, it's a really hard process for us because, like Kristina said, we get 600 applications a year, and if we could fund all of them, I mean, we would love to do that. We would even love for Project Heal to not exist one day.
Hmm.
But we have a very great clinical advisory board who there are 8 really great specialists in the field, and we have 4 quarters, so it's an open period for rolling applications for 3 months. And after that period is closed, we review all the applications. And then we narrow it down and we do phone interviews or Skype interviews. And our clinical advisory board is really, really involved in this process. And we try to pick as many applications as we can to fund that quarter. What's really great is we've partnered now with 16 treatment centers, and they
Mm.
provide at least one free treatment per year.
Wow.
We're able to fund even more applicants, but it's still it's a very hard process because everyone I mean, like Christine said, if Project Hill existed and we needed help, I would never fill out an application like that when I was in my eating disorder because I wasn't motivated. And these are all people that are just like really like, I just want to
Mm.
help. I want to get better. So we try even with those applicants to provide, if they're not funded, other resources because we really do want to help as many people as possible.
Mm.
Yeah, and to add to that, again, the biggest thing is we wish we could fund more than we do. We have been increasing every year, and that's our aim. We went from funding, 1 or 2 applicants a year to we funded 11 2 years ago, and then 18 last year, and are on track
Five
to
this
fund
year.
over 20 this year. So we're
Oh, wow.
increasing. But in case anybody is, watching this and kind of wants to know the criteria, this is all on our website. But as Liana said, it's really mostly a motivation-based treatment grant. And
Hmm.
because it's an online application, we really do rely on the effort you put into your application, kind of visualization of recovery and what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses and how do you plan to overcome these weaknesses and what do you envision as recovery and who's your support system and a lot of
Mm.
questions like that to get at the motivation level. And then beyond that, because we can only fund a fraction of those who apply, we do say that, we prioritize applicants who are likely to do well in treatment based on the research predictors of success: younger age, shorter length of illness, fewer comorbidities. And a big part of that is that it's not an exclusion criteria. We have to say it because we want to make people aware, but if you've, been in treatment many times before, we've funded people. We funded, people who've had their illness for many, many years in their middle age. They just really have to articulate on the application, why is this time different? Why now? And if they do that, we've had some of our most successful applicants be people that don't necessarily, fit that criteria.
Right.
And then part of the reason we can only fund a fraction, obviously finances are the huge one, but part of that too is that we really try to stick with our applicants 100% and fund a full length of treatment. So whether, whatever they need, really, like, a month to 2 months of residential, and then step them down to months of outpatient, and step them down to, a full array of outpatient services for many, many months. And if they relapse, which happens, years down the line, and they're motivated, we'll stick with them again. And so we just really like to be able to, fully stay with them. Once you're a Project Heal applicant, like, we're with you until you reach full recovery. Sometimes you may hate us, but
like flights for the family or new recovery clothing,
Sure.
like apartments, if they needed us to cover the rent while they're in treatment. And we really do want to set them up for success. So whatever that we can do we'll do.
That's just incredible. And I appreciate you sharing those details, because I think a lot of our viewers who are watching may be interested in that. So thank you for sharing that. And, I wanted to just ask about your grant recipients. I can't think of a more incredible gift than to have your treatment funded for you and have this amazing nonprofit organization just stand behind you throughout the journey. Do you guys keep in touch with your recipients, or do you have like alumni, or how does that work? I'm just out of curiosity.
We do. Liana and I would love to even more. When we had just funded, a couple of people when we were starting it out, they were literally like our best friends. We were there and tried to text them and call them all the time and make sure they were there. Now that we have 52, it gets a little bit harder to do that on a day-to-day basis. But no, we know everybody. At the minimum, we are calling them, when they get the treatment grant at the end, and checking in with them periodically on how they're doing. And I always tell them, like, use us as a resource. I think our time has gotten more stretched as Project Heal grows, but I think we make that commitment to really be there for them and support them in recovery, because this is what all of it's about. And it's just amazing to see. I imagine it feels like what a parent must feel like.
Sure.
Having them, but it's so incredible to see someone just go from, really a terrible place to just fully coming into their own and going on to accomplish things. And one of our past treatment grant recipients, I'm sure we have a million anecdotes, but she recovered. She went to Africa for the summer to volunteer, and then she started her own chapter, and she's
wow,
amazing.
Too, and marriages, just like great celebrations. It's the gifts of recovery. They just keep on coming.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Gifts of Project Heal babies.
Oh, I know you guys must have a huge extended family, and I can't even imagine how rewarding that must be to see, the fruit of your labor, and what a gift that you've given to so many people.
I think for a lot of them too, you touch on a good point of how amazing this must be for them. But I think we hear very, very often, in my darkest moments where I don't feel it's possible, or I don't want to keep going, or I don't believe in myself, like, I know that you and Liana believed in me, and I know that Project Heal believed in me, and Project Heal for a reason. And like, it's a nice inspiration of like hope and sort of like responsibility in a good way. That Liana and I always said the responsibility of taking on Project Heal was so good for our own recoveries, and we hear them kind of say, I was selected for this grant, and I have the responsibility to like stick with it. And I think that motivation is so important in the of the eating disorder. And so I think being a grant recipient really does give them that.
And it also gives them like this voice also, like at our recent gala. My favorite part of the night is when we have as many as the applicants that can come to the event on stage, and it's just amazing. And this year they were all, we do this part where we ask people for money.
Right.
And they were just like incredible, and just like, well, one of them, Amanda, is an actress, and there's an amazing picture of her with her like jazz hands, and Carla was just like, come on, like, you want to help more people like me, and they're just so, they want to give back, and they're all, I mean, yeah, like you said, they're like extended family, which is great. There's a bunch of them that live in New York, and I get to see them all the time. And even, I mean, they help me too, like on days like that maybe I'm exhausted from working and going to grad school, and just here, like, having a text from them just about like something that they did, and something that they're proud of that they wanted to share with me. Like, that makes me keep going.
Sure. And thank you for sharing. I think it's just so incredible, the work that you guys are doing, and that you can use this organization to bring hope to so many people. And I know that a lot of people who may be watching are excited too about what you both have done and what you're doing, and would love to learn ways to get involved and help support Project Heal. Can you share what ways that people who are watching who want to get involved can help support the work that you're doing?
Sure. Well, we have over 40 chapters across the United States and internationally. So information on our chapters and where you can find a chapter is on our website. So if there's not a chapter in your area, you can apply to start one. There's also opportunities to volunteer or intern with the national organization. So whether it's something with social media or blogging, there's always ways to get involved. And then there's like our merchandise.
Yeah.
That every dollar goes to our treatment grant fund, and we actually just are launching our book. So purchasing our book and attending events. I'm sure there are a million ways to support us. Definitely social media.
Like us on social media. Make promotions. Obviously, the development director here, I have to say, but we work with people. I think one of the more influential ways that people have given to us in the past is funding kind of a memorial treatment grant in someone, either someone who's passed away, or or someone who's gone on into recovery, and you want to have a treatment grant in their name. So we have a number of those on our website, and I think it is a really nice gift for families to, give recovery to someone else and know that, their loved one this didn't happen in vain, and they're able to help them for a cause. So I think that's been incredibly, incredibly helpful. And we always have, sponsorship opportunities and ways to get involved. Obviously, we have 16,000 followers on Facebook and Instagram, thanks to Liana, and all these chapters across the country, and that's just a huge amount of people at the grassroots level. Mind you, we have 1.5 staff members, so we don't even do that much to get them. They just they want to be involved in this cause, so much, and just the amount of energy and enthusiasm is so strong that we love. So that's a roundabout way of saying you can get involved in any way in the world, but certainly visit our website, www.theprojectfield.org, to learn more about which way would work for you.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you both enough for taking time out of your busy schedules to just be with us and share. And I feel so inspired just talking with you and hearing about the amazing work that you're doing. And you both are just creating so much light and hope in, I think when you have an eating disorder, it feels so hopeless and dark. And the work that you're doing is just spreading like wildfire, and we just love it.
Oh, well, thank you.
You guys are amazing, really.
I mean, ditto to Eating Disorder Hope. We're so excited about our partnership because you guys are just amazing and right there with us, providing all that inspiration and hope. So.
Absolutely. And to any of our viewers, we actually just shared your PSA that came out recently through
Yes.
Recovery Spark, right?
Yeah, they're
And
amazing.
also check out their videos because they're so inspiring. Kristina had her story posted. Mine should be coming this week.
Awesome.
But they're just incredible, and we love our partnership with them. But the ESAs are amazing, and we are planning things for them. The one thing I wanted to add was I know Kristina hates cliches, but the one cliche that I think you still like is if you have skeletons in your closet, you might as well make them dance. And I think that really just serves like you didn't go through this for a reason, and like it does really make you a stronger person in the end. And like we at a young age knew who we were and what we wanted out of life, and recovery really, like I said before, it's a gift that keeps on giving. There are so many, no puns intended, but gains in recovery. And I guess that's just something, if you're watching, I want you to know that recovery is possible.
Absolutely. So well said. Thank you for ending our conversation on that note, Liana. And the website again is Project Heal.
TheProjectHeal.org.
TheProjectHeal.org. Okay. And then is all the information about your chapters on there as well?
Yes. So every you can look for a chapter, start a chapter, apply for a grant. Everything is on our website. And if you have any questions, you can always email contact@theprojectheal.org.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much again. We just wish all the best for you and your continued work with Project Heal and all the other amazing things that you're doing. You guys are incredible. So thank you again, and to all our viewers, for any additional information, please feel free to check out theprojectheal.org, as Kristina and Liana shared, and then we also have some great resources on eatingdisorderhope.com if you're in need of that. And ladies, we hope to continue to connect in our future and hope this is just the beginning.
Of course.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye.